Mike, how are you today?
I'm great, guys. I'm
Good.
shiny and happy.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
I haven't. I have to say this up front, though. I haven't been able to catch the first hour of your show, but Paulie's intro has me a little nervous at this point.
all right, you want to hear? I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. J.J. Starling stinks. Kiyan Anthony should be playing more. Free throw shooting is terrible. Coach Autry shouldn't run that offense. And, the basics.
That about sums it up, Mike. That about sums it up.
Yeah, it's a good 4-course meal.
Yes. All right. So let's start with your thoughts from last night. So yes, the free throw shooting was awful. What stood out to you from that game last night?
The free throw shooting. Especially even after the start to the game where I felt Syracuse was a little flat. Sort of saw that coming after 3 straight blowouts. Would these guys really be ready to go? Right from the jump, playing mom 9 o'clock start, kind of a quiet crowd at the Dome, smaller crowd. You could just sense that this wasn't, going to be a great start. No one was really ready. I didn't feel so anyway. But then with 10 minutes to go, you've gotten things under in order, and you're up by 14 with 10 minutes to go. And you're still up 11 with 3 minutes to go. But the free throw shooting just lets Monmouth right back in, and that was a problem last night. That stood out. So I know Red Autry talked a little bit about the intensity, and I think that's, a big part of his philosophy and how he wants his team to play, and he's not happy when they don't play that way. But the free throw shooting is something that we certainly should give you pause moving forward a little bit.
Have you ever seen a player shoot a free throw like JJ from the start of his career to where he is now? Like, what do you think has happened?
I'm trying to think of a guy who at one point just, was an okay free throw shooter, 60-something%. I think as a sophomore, JJ shot 71% from the line. I don't know if it's the injuries to his hands, both hands now, over the last year, or something else that's gone on. I've seen baseball players develop the yips. I mean, Steve Sachs couldn't throw to first. Dale Murphy couldn't throw the ball back to the pitcher from catcher. Had to move to the outfield. It almost strikes me as something like that right now. But and then how do you approach it? Golfers get the yips. So I just think it's kind of a mental thing, and I don't know how you handle that. But I've seen him shoot it before. That's the thing. I've seen him shoot 71% from the line. Now, is that great? That's not Joe Girard numbers, but still, it's fine, especially if you surround him with other guys who we also think can shoot free throws, like Nate George, Nate Kings, Donnie Freeman. Each of those 3 guys last year shot 79% or better at the line. So, you should be able to get guys out there who can make these threes in crunch time for you. So maybe it's not as big a problem as it appeared to be last night, but, last night it was a problem.
As Paulie alluded to, Mike, there is a faction of the fan base, and I would say it's a minority right now, but there are people who believe that vocal minority. There are people who believe Kiyan should be starting over JJ. What do you say to those people?
Not yet. And probably not anytime this season. I mean, I like Kiyan. I think, when he had to fill in when JJ was out with the injury for those 2+ games, we saw him play well. But again, guys, let's remember, he was playing against Binghamton, Delaware State, and Drexel. Last night, Kiyan struggled just like everybody else did against Monmouth. He was 2 of 9 from the field, whereas JJ was 4 of 6. I know we're all focusing on a couple of bad free throws from JJ, but JJ, after not having played for 2.5 weeks, I thought his floor game looked great. 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting, 1 assist, 0 turnovers. And, if you're talking about Kiyan, 2 of 9 from the field with 2 turnovers, no assists. The numbers on the stat sheet don't jive with fans wanting Kiyan to start over JJ if we're just looking at last night, aside from JJ's 2 air balls. And it's not like Kiyan was perfect at the line. He went 2 for 5, which, by the way, is exactly what JJ did. So I'm not taking a senior like JJ out of the line. Gee, no way. Let's let this wine breathe a little bit, shall we?
Yeah, the topic in regards to Kiyan came up earlier on the show as well about how he was bothered by the being blitzed on screens and it made him uncomfortable. And as you mentioned, ultimately shot 2 for 9 from the field. How do you think he reacts to that moving forward? And he's going to go up against some good defensive teams, namely Houston coming up on Monday, known for their defense. How do you think he responds to that and kind of adjusts his game moving forward? Is it just the natural growing pains of being a freshman that he's going to learn to deal with that?
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. And depending on how big of a problem, it might take a while, or maybe it's just something that he'll get used to. I mean, now, like you said, with Houston and Kansas and whoever the third team will be, followed by Tennessee back home, Kiyan and the rest of this team is about to take a huge step up in the level of competition. I don't know if any of them are ready for this right now. We don't know. I mean, they played basically nobody. If you're just looking at Ken Pom and net rankings, nobody that's ranked into Ken Pom's top 200, and they're about to go play a bunch of teams in the top 50 or top 25. So it's a huge step up. Kiyan will eventually be fine. Listen, he played high-level high school basketball at Long Island Lutheran. People need to remember this, too, about Kiyan, is he's adjusting to his roles here. He didn't start as a junior at Long Island Lutheran. He was on a stacked team. VJ Edgecombe was the star of that team 2 years ago at Lou High. I think he's fine in the role that they had planned for him. And, I think JJ will eventually be fine, too, once he gets back into the flow. But JJ's injury has interrupted Adrian Autry's process for figuring out rotations and minutes and stuff like that. So now they're having to adjust on the fly. And, one other wrinkle last night was the unavailability of Tyler Betsy, which almost became an issue when Donnie Freeman was out there with 4 fouls. And normally Tyler probably would have been the one you're going to send in in case it becomes in case of emergency break glass situation and he fouled out. So, yes, it'll be interesting, but I think Kiyan will be fine.
I made a very bold statement earlier that I thought Nathan George needs to play 40 minutes a game. What have you made of his play so far? There's a take in our callers, too, that Kiyan, the offense flows better with him on the court. I tend to think Nathan George is the biggest reason the offense flows.
Nathan George is hugely important to this team. I mean, 9 assists last night in 32 minutes and only 1 turnover. That's the other thing, too. He's averaging well over 6 assists a game this year, but the turnovers have been low. Now, again, we got to look at the quality of competition, especially when it comes to the turnovers. But George is going to be critical to these games coming up in Las Vegas. You guys mentioned Houston's defense. Steve, you mentioned Houston's pressure. Nathan George, as an upperclassman, a junior, he's played ACC-level basketball for 2 years now. He is a key. And I agree with you, Paulie. He might be the key to the whole offense, no matter who else is scoring. And it's been good, too, because he has been adding his own offense here. And I think they need him to do that as well. Because he can score, he can shoot, but his first job is protect the ball and distribute the ball. He's really done really well with that, and he's learning these guys. I think he's learning where guys want the ball. It's too bad he hasn't had more game time experience with his backcourt partner and JJ Starling, but I think that's why last night was really important to get JJ back out there.
Mike, you mentioned Tyler Betsy. You were the first to report the other night that he was not going to play against Monmouth. What is your understanding of the injury, foot injury? Do you have a feel for whether or not he's going to be available for that Vegas trip, namely on Monday against Houston?
I don't know. I'm not sure. And we're still 4 or 5 days out from there. He had the boot on his left foot yesterday. I went back and I listened to Adrian Autry's answer to a question about Tyler, and I got to admit, it left me a little confused. I couldn't tell the the way the question was phrased and the way Adrian answered it as to like whether he was saying that he would be good to go to Vegas or that he might. I couldn't tell. So I got to make a couple phone calls on Tyler over the next day or two. That's what I'm telling you guys. But I would think, especially possibly having to play 3 games in 3 days, that you'd love to have him available. Because, again, we saw last night where it almost became very important to have him there if Donnie had fouled out. And that's what Sadiq White's, playing well. But Sadiq's a great defender, and he wants to be a great defender. He likes that. He's got to learn how to defend without fouling. He's got to get his hands off, But I still like his role there. But I think to add 3-point shooting and to have a decent foul shooter out there at the end of a game, that's where you might need Tyler next week.
All right, you were on our Orange Nation TV show on Monday, and I asked you, I said, give me, what percent chance does Syracuse win 1 game in Vegas? What's the percent chance they win 2? You said 50% chance they win 1. You said 40% chance they win 2, and you pointed to Kansas and their injury to Darren Peterson, who did not play last night against Duke. Since we had that conversation, Kansas went out and played Duke really tough, even without Peterson. Syracuse struggled with Monmouth. Now we know about the Tyler Betsy injury. Do you feel like you need to change your answer at all, or do you stand pat with what you said?
We're going to make this like overreaction Wednesday, right?
Exactly.
I'm glad you brought that up. I would like to change my answer.
Okay.
I think I might stick around the 50% mark that they're going to win 1.
Okay.
I think they can do that. And, I know last night didn't look good, but I'm trying hard not to overreact. The fact that not just last night how they looked, it's more of we learned today that Kansas coach Bill Self is saying that he expects Darren Peterson to be available next week. Because of that 40% figure I gave you on winning 2, I might drop that down to the 25 or 30% range.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to say also, just like Monmouth came out against Syracuse last night, Kansas is going to play Duke well. Everybody gets Steve, you're a Duke fan. Everybody's going to give Duke their best shot, right?
They're going to try.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think you're going to give Duke your best shot, and then Duke is Duke.
Yes,
and
right.
It doesn't matter. and especially when you're playing without your potential All-American freshman, tough for Kansas to win that game last night, but they stayed in it. Against what I think Duke's great, by the way. When we talk about some of the teams, and I know Gonzaga's up there and Houston's up there, but man, I like Duke a lot. They look great. I think Kansas will be tough. The big key might not even be Darren Peterson. It might be Kansas's one big guy, Badunga. They are so much better when he's on the floor. When he goes out, Kansas struggles a little bit. Will Kyle against Badunga next Tuesday will be a key.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Great insight as always, Mike. We appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll do it again next week, I'm sure.
Sounds great, guys. Good talking to you.
All right, Mike Waters joining us here on the program.
The shiniest, the happiest of the people.
Yes, great insight. Love having Mike on our show. We have him on our TV show every week as well, from 7 to 7:30 on News Channel 9.
TV, look at us, TV. I can't shut up about my TV.